Hello and welcome. Thank you everyone for tuning in. I of course am Rotype and this is Factorio, which for those of you who are at my channel for City Skylines series, this is a new thing for you. You may or may not have heard of this game Factorio. It is, to put it probably the most bluntly, it is a game about automation. It's almost like if Minecraft did not require you to do everything yourself. Suppose that's a good way of putting it. But I'll explain more as we go along. For those of you that are familiar with Factorio, this is pretty much what some people call vanilla plus, a sort of lightly modded Factorio. I'm playing with pretty much my suite of mods that I kind of can't live without at this point. But none of them are really what I would think as game-changing mods. They're all sort of like Long Reach is an example, kind of helper mods to just make my life easier as I'm going about my goals here. One example there is you can see the Long Reach. I'm standing way up here, and I can go ahead and drop wood into the furnace and drill from that far away. And that's pretty much just because I hate that kind of beep sound that happens when you're too far away, and I play this game more from a design and engineer standpoint than a pure gameplay kind of strict by the rules, I suppose you could say. That said, I'm not playing, as I said, anything that really changes the gameplay that much. No real, I guess it depends on your definition of cheating type mods, but you know, I just like to make things a little bit easier on myself in a convenience and logical standpoint, as opposed to, you know, cheating or making things really easier. With that said, this is what I hope to be the first factory that I'm going to build to actually launch a rocket. I've been playing Factorio for, I don't know, many years at this point. I first started playing Factorio in the not .12 release, not .12.22 or 20 something back in, probably 2013. And believe it or not, I've never actually launched a rocket. I have hundreds of hours in the game, and I always just get to the point where I want to start over, or I want to do something new, or there have been a few cases where I've had to reinstall Windows or something and lost my saves. So I've played this game for a very, very long time and never actually launched a rocket. So that is going to be my goal for this series. And I hope you all will join me and like the way I kind of set up my factory. And maybe you can take some tips if you're new at this game, or just like to see the way someone else goes about it. In general, I do run, as probably everybody does at this point, off a kind of main bus type system. I actually have gotten recently into the point where I almost run multiple buses, and we'll get into this later as we start to set everything up. But what I have kind of come to is a raw materials bus kind of on the top, or well, I always set them up horizontally such that the raw materials are on the top. I suppose you could do it vertically, but that just feels weird. But the raw materials will go on the top. They'll come down through a furnace column, or several furnace columns as it will be. And then that will produce the more finished materials that will end up on a bus, similar to what you've probably seen other YouTubers play, or just kind of a general way most people go about it. So that said, let's get into what I'm actually working on here. Just kind of starting out with the basics, getting some iron smelting, picking up a bunch of stone. And I really just hope in the next, I don't know, 16 minutes or so, maybe we'll get some power up and running, and maybe we won't get into science by then, but just try to get as far along as we can and get things going. I should also mention, I suppose at this point, that I am calling this series One Small Step, which does reference Neil Armstrong's words on the moon, and just kind of, obviously there's no moon in this game, but I just wanted to highlight the rocket as the goal. As I said, I've played this game for a very long time, and it's a sort of sandbox type game, so you can set your own type of goals, decide what you want to do with it. And as I said, I've played hundreds of hours and never actually launched a rocket. So I'm going to try more than I usually do to not necessarily spend forever focusing on efficiency in favor of getting a rocket built. And maybe once I launch a rocket, I'll go ahead and then think about efficiency or a mega factory, rockets per minute or circuits per minute, or maybe even some of the achievements. But from the get-go, I'm not even focusing on that. I'm not even going to look at the achievements, this kind of thing, because I've done runs like that before. And like I said, I either get distracted or, something else happens where I end up just not producing a rocket. So as I said, the one small step, which in theory, it's kind of ironic, I guess, it should just be one small step given all my experience to actually produce a rocket if I put my mind to it and actually make one. So I suppose I should stop just kind of mindlessly mining and really start getting to work here. So if I remember my ratios here, I need a little bit more stone to get proper 13 or 14. What is it? 13, I believe, gets you 99% efficiency on the boilers. And this is another one of those moments, a perfect example of, do I spend the extra time to really get that perfect efficiency or just move forward and get it done the way it needs to be? So let's see, we're at 11, 12, 13. We'll go there. And I think at this point, I might actually just start making a couple more furnaces and maybe one more drill here, because this iron is always the hardest part in the beginning. You just end up with a severe lack of iron. So I'll have to go get some fuel. I think my coal is up here. It's a little unfortunate that they're touching. I did re-roll this map, I don't know, maybe like 3 times. I didn't want to spend forever kind of looking at a map, but I'll show you a little bit here. I am running the RSO mod, which will spread the resources out quite a bit. So it looks like I am going to need to get trains up and running sooner rather than later. So looks like that must be stone. We got some iron over here. A lot of water. This will be interesting. I wonder if this is kind of a small lake or how big this is going to be. We'll have to deal with that as well. I liked this start because there's a bit of desert around and not an overabundance of trees. For anybody that's played this game, the cutting trees is really until you get either bots to do it for you or shotguns or some other way to deal with it. For those of you who are, again, from the city skylines kind of scene and haven't played Factorio, the worst part about this game is cutting trees, at least in my opinion. So let's see, I'll just get a handful of trees here and just try to get this iron going. I have in the past played with kind of an accelerated start mod, which can be nice because you don't have to really deal with kind of this sort of boring, at least in my opinion, sort of boring startup phase. But I figured for a YouTube channel, for a YouTube series, I should just start at the beginning and go from here. So let's see what's next. We have our boilers, we have our inserters, we have some transport belt. Suppose the next thing we need is an offshore pump, which would need some copper. So maybe we'll build another, let's see, let's get another miner here, and I need some more stone to make another furnace. Just a little bit of copper. We don't need too much to begin with, but all of the standard basics from getting started here. See, what are we at? 6? That's already plenty. So just one of these will be fine. Stick this down there, and then there we go. That'll get us some copper for a while. I should maybe make some more. I don't like making a ton of these burner miners because they don't upgrade into anything, or they just take up space when you're done. You can't really use them. There's really no reason, I should say, to use them after you get the electric miners. So let's see, we have copper, we have iron, we need a pump. I should also get some more iron for some pipes. Let's see, I'll get a couple undergrounds for space. I do have the squeak through mod installed, but I still like to keep the underground pipes in my setups just for aesthetics pretty much. Just kind of, it's nice to not have pipes everywhere, even if I can squeak through them. So let's take a look at the map here. We have this nice big space. And like I said, I tend to run kind of a double bus. It does take up a lot of space. And as I also said, I do like to run them kind of horizontally more often than not. So I think I might do the raw bus up here, kind of just on the south shore of this lake, and then have the furnace columns here, and then the regular bus will go here, which leaves this good decent amount of space below for all the assembling machines and any of the other things that are going on. So if the raw bus is up here, the train station will be here. This whole area then will be open for power. So I think I might, let's see, if the trains are here, kind of bring the trains in under and send them out. Yeah, there's plenty of space. Whoops, wrong button. Plenty of space to just run power just like right here. So I think this will be power, at least for now. I should also mention, I suppose, that I am currently on, this is the 0.14.22 release of Factorio. And I know in 0.15, they are going to be adding nuclear power, which is really exciting, despite the fact that it may or may not be a little bit dumbed down compared to, I think, what a lot of people were expecting on the Reddit and in the Factorio forums. I'm curious. I'm not going to judge. The developers of this game are usually very responsive to feedback and listen to the community, which is nice. So maybe they'll make it more complicated. But at the same time, they've also produced an amazing game that I've been playing for years. So it's possible that even though it sounds kind of dumbed down, it actually is just fine. So I'm not going to judge until I see it. But the point of that is really to say that hopefully we won't have miles and miles of solar arrays. Oh, broke my tool. We won't have miles and miles of solar arrays and just tons and tons of steam engines once the nuclear fuel option arrives in 0.15. It will be interesting to see. I know they're changing the way that the boiling of liquids work in 0.15. So I think these boilers are going to become 1x2, or is it 2x3? I'm trying to remember my Friday facts, but it's possible and probably very likely that however many steam engines we set up, they're not even going to work in the 0.15 release, which is fine. We'll just have to go through and take care of them. You know, either build new ones or just transition entirely over to nuclear fuel. I am on a pretty light biter setting, which you could probably tell when we look at the map here. You know, the nearest biters are quite far away. I do have an enhanced starting zoom, starting map reveal kind of mod installed as well. So you can see out pretty far, and the biters are pretty far away, and they're also on kind of light settings. And that's because I find the biters to just be a little bit of a hindrance. They're just kind of annoying. Like, I personally don't get a lot out of the combat side of this game. Some people do, and that's great. You know, more power to you. I would just, as I said, I play this game more from a design and engineering kind of standpoint than combat or action or anything like that. So from here, let's see, we'll get 2 power. Oh, I need copper. That's why. So now we can get some more power poles. What else do we need here? I need a bunch more copper. All right, so we need to fuel up our copper miner to get the electric drills. I'd really like, we got power set up. Really like just to get some electric mining done before the end of this episode. So here are 3, up to 9. That's unfortunate. Just need a little bit more. And of course, I didn't set up my dueling coal miners, which is why in this particular run, I'm having a bit of a fuel shortage early, but that's fine. We'll just get that done a little bit manually. And then I think the first electric miner I drop might actually be a coal miner. So we'll just get a little bit more here, just enough to get the iron I need done. Guess I still need some more for the miners. Things will progress a lot more quickly once we get power up and running, once we get science up and running. And like I said earlier, I'm going to really try to not get bogged down in the details of the efficiency. I'm obviously going to try and be efficient, but I'm going to try and make sure we actually make progress most episodes instead of just figuring out small details of what the most efficient manner of doing everything is. So let's see if in the next few minutes I can just get some power here done. We've got, what did I say, 9? There we go, 10 steam engines right there. I already have my power poles. So they're in the wrong space. You put power poles there and transfer pellet there. And we'll just go ahead and run our power poles just like that. And like I said, I'm just going to connect them to, oops. There we go. Connect them to the coal. That's not right. There we go. And I can at least just get myself, there we go. Good piece of coal mining. Yeah, this patch is a little unfortunate. I'm gonna have to build some kind of sorting to handle the connection between the two, but for now that's fine. So we now have power, we have mining. I think the first thing we'd need to do with this is actually just kind of bring it along. Oh, of course we need lots more iron. So we'll go ahead and fuel this. I think the first thing I want to do, get auto-fueled, is really power, so I don't ever really have to worry about it again. It's always annoying when you think you're good with power, and the next thing you know, you have a blackout. So just fill up as much as possible here. And there we go. These look like they're running already, so that's good. And one thing I can do, I do have another mod that I do have installed is called Handy Hands. I remember the hotkeys here. 0, nope, that's not what I wanted. I want up. There we go. So I can change my hotkeys here, and this way you'll notice I'm not queuing these up. They get queued automatically by the Handy Hands mod. This is what I'm talking about, like just useful mods. You know, I always think when I'm playing this game without Handy Hands, oh, I turned that on somehow. I'll have to remember the hotkey to turn that off. That's another mod I have, Ion Cannon, which we may or may not even get to, but I figured it'd be fun if I launch a rocket to try it out. But I was talking about Handy Hands, and Handy Hands is nice because when you're wandering around, you always figure, or at least I always figure, while I'm wandering around not focused on anything in particular, I really should be crafting something. And Handy Hands takes that out of my hands and does it for me. That way, I mean, as I said before, it's sort of cheating, I suppose, but in my mind, it's not. And that way I don't have to worry about trying to be the most efficient about getting things built and, you know, worrying about the time that I'm spent doing other things. I can just have it do it for me. We're almost done here. Just get a little bit more. Oh, 2 more. Oh, good. We have 2. There we go. Perfect. Now we've got our coal going. Now we don't have to worry about power anymore. So the next thing I'm going to work on is just getting a bit more mining done. I think the next thing I'm going to get mining, because these are just absurdly slow, they kill me, is the iron here. And maybe I'll actually turn our Handy Hands down again for that. All right. Man, stuff is slow. Well, while that's running, let's just look at the map a little bit here. So we have our initial deposits, a little bit of stone, copper, coal, and iron. That iron will go quickly, I think, once we get the full bus running. What is this over here? More stone with some biters on it. We only have 2 oil. Let's look at how much we're going to get out of that oil. Fill up that while we're here. So this oil is a 101 and this oil is a 138. So those aren't too great either. That's not going to last very long. And then, so here's some more stone and a little bit of iron. Man, these resource deposits aren't looking pretty. So we'll have to get out, like I said, pretty early, get trains running. I think one of the biggest uses of stone will have to be a little careful and not build too many walls or anything until we've got a decent amount of train track, which will use up some of this stone. But I'm not too worried about it. Like I said, the biters are on a pretty low setting, so It shouldn't be too bad. All right, good. We can get some electric mining drills going here. Should bring power down. Also, our coal, or I'm sorry, our copper is out of coal. So only have a little bit there, but just get some more burning. And we'll run, just for, oops, simplicity's sake, we'll run this down in a straight line. Oh, that was bad. There we go. Run this out. And perfect. Bring this just down like this. And we can bring it in from there. Some nice, and this way, and just power that. And bring these up like this. Perfect. We don't quite have the smelting automated yet, but we at least have the mining done. These in there. But that is what I have for you for episode 1. I'm going to take a quick break here. If you like what I'm up to, please click the like button. These episodes of Factorio will come out 3 times a week, so if you want to make sure you catch them all, feel free to subscribe. I will be back the day after tomorrow with the next episode, but in the meantime, my name's been Rotype, and I'll see you later.